game and when the White Sox were in it.
Yeah.
Call the order, please. We all stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a roll call for to establish the quorum.
Roll call beginning with Trustee Waller. Present. Trustee Federico.
Here.
Supervisor Bedford.
Here.
Trustee Santucci.
Here.
Trustee Burke.
Here.
All members are present. We've established the quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4, public comments. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak, they have 3 minutes to speak. And the floor is open. Hearing none, we'll move to item 5, which is the consent of the agenda. Item 5.1 is to approve the May 24th, 2017 special township meeting. Have a motion to approve.
So approved?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, we're going to call the roll.
Under discussion.
A point of order, Ross. Motion to establish a consent agenda, is that the proper Robert Rules of Order?
Yes, that would be. Because there was one item, but technically it would be a motion to establish a consent agenda with what's listed on the agenda itself.
Also, point of order, since I was not in attendance at the meeting, I do not believe I can vote on the correct.
That's correct.
I think the proper thing to do would be to vote abstain.
Abstain.
Call the
Can I
roll.
call the roll? Trustee Waller.
Abstain.
Trustee Federico.
Yes.
Supervisor Bedford.
Yes.
Trustee Santucci.
Yes.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Passes.
Reports for the administrative staff. In your packet, you have all the administrative staff's reports listed there. And I would like you to pay particular attention to the yearly report. It should be the first one on top of all of the reports, if the packets would be correct. And what I would just like to say about our staff. They're absolutely wonderful. I've enjoyed my first 3 weeks with them. And Paul, if you're looking at it, Paul, put that cheek right there. Go down 1. No, Paul. Down 1, off the thing. Down. Pull it up right now, Paul. Pull out that one. Right there. Mine, yes, mine was, I took mine out.
Okay.
And this has a monthly, this has a yearly report of everything that has gone on in this building. Now, yeah, I know you've read through them, but if you would just take your leisure again and go through, because I think that's just impressive and it's indicative of what the staff is doing here. And on all the other reports are in there, but I wanted you to pay particular attention to that because it just tells you what we are doing. And secondly, with that report of the staffs, I'm going to ask each of the staff members to come to one of the board meetings and go through what they do for 2 reasons. 1, so you can get to know who they are by face and name. And 3, because they're very, very proud of what they do. And then they can explain things to you much, much better than I can. And I think that's important that they do that for all of us. Okay? Reports for our elected officials. My report is sitting in front of you. And I'd just like to highlight some of the things that have happened since taking office. The second day of office, we had a staff meeting to introduce myself to the staff and a breakfast. And Jeannie made this wonderful, wonderful oatmeal with nuts in it and fruit. It was absolutely wonderful. And I'll tell you what, I say that in front of, I do not eat oatmeal. But I ate oatmeal that morning. It was absolutely wonderful. I attended the June DuPage County Supervisors meeting, which is held monthly, normally the third Tuesday of the month. There's a lot of newbies there. Warren attended it with me, and Warren did a great job of introducing me to the supervisors. And the next meeting is next Tuesday at noon, and I will be attending that one. And my third item is I met with Karen Corning, the Ride Assist Naperville. The acronym is RAN, R-A-N. There is a budget for the RAN program from the previous board of $4,000. There has not been an intergovernmental agreement put together yet, but if you go to, it is in your packet, and I know you have read it. Where's mine? It's at the back of the packet, the very back, starting with this piece here. She has outlined what they do. Just last week, there was a wonderful article, front page Naperville, Daily Herald, explaining the Ride Assist program.
I read it.
And Karen is here today. And if you have any questions, she's here for you to ask questions of her. But if you're understanding what's going on, we're going to get the intergovernmental agreement together and sign off on it and get it started. This is a very, very new program, which is Ride for Seniors. There's a nominal fee that the seniors pay to ride. And it's based on a program in Arlington Heights. And also, in our discussion, I don't know if I surprised her a little bit, Portland, Maine has a very, very similar program that's been running for 20 years. And running very, very effectively. And we had a small discussion with that. But I think it's an outstanding program, and it's just now getting started, April of this year. And
April.
And from what I understand from the article, there's been 26 rides already. And so it's one of these programs that I think it's worth our support to go ahead with supporting her. So if you have any questions of her, she's here. If not, we'll move on to. Hearing no questions? Okay. On May 30th, I had an introductory meeting with our mayor, Steve Jericho. It went very, very well. About a 45 minute across the way here. And it was very interesting to the point that he's saying that we will support each other as we go on, and hopefully we can work together in the next couple of years. On the 30th of May, I met with 2 North Central students, and then on the 5th of June, I met with Abigail Van Horn. Abigail Van Horn is the Assistant Director of the Leadership Program at North Central, and the 2 students are running or are elected presidents of the North Central Democrats on campus. Now, what I want to say here, I guess, is that they're going to assist Millie with the holiday adoption program and try to make some connections with North Central College. And if you look through the holiday adoption program, last year there were 90 families that Millie adopted, and merchants donate. The families write a letter to the merchants, and they have a holiday. Well, the North Central students and Abigail Van Horn in the leadership program, the idea is to expand the program and bring the families together with the merchants at North Central College and have a huge Christmas together, decorate a room, and expand the program and give some sort of major highlights. And the merchants then can meet the families, and the families can enjoy themselves together with the merchants. And we're going to push like crazy to do that. On 5/31, I met with Tom Sanderson. Tom Sanderson is a young man who's looking at the website. And we talked for about an hour, of which I didn't understand most of it. But Tom also then sent me a request to evaluate our website. And the evaluation of our website is now here. It is from the municipal websites. And the municipal website has sent it to me, and I will link it to you so you can look and see where our website is being evaluated. And there's about 2,000 municipalities that are included in this municipal website. And this is what they basically do. And he's going to dovetail us into that website, but this is going to be about a 2-3 month process. It's not overnight. It's going to be ongoing. And I'm looking forward to sending that to you. The next item on my list is we almost complete the Open Meetings Act course. It is online and I do believe you're getting the perspectives. It's on page 5 in the perspectives. It has the website that you go to, log in, create a login, and do it as soon as possible, please. It's a lengthy process. It's about 65 pages. I'm on page 14 right now. So if you could all complete that as soon as possible.
You can't fail it, you just keep taking it. I think there's a timeline on it too, right, Ross?
Yes.
So it's a requirement within 90 days of election.
I believe it's 90, might be 90 days, but do it as soon as humanly possible.
Do I don't have to retake.
You don't have to read
No,
it.
you do not.
I also have that same magazine, there's also a FOIA training class. Is that one that we need to do, or, I mean, recommended to do, or?
FOIA training would be more specific, Ross, for the
Yeah, for the-
FOIA officers within the building.
Oh.
Right.
Nate, and
Nate, I would-
I have one upstairs, and there's one out at the highway garage too.
Okay, okay.
Not a bad idea, so that you're personally familiar, but really here looking at Nate.
Okay, okay.
On 6/7 with Jenny, I attended the Triad Transportation meeting. Jenny, you're here.
What is Triad?
Jenny, can you tell me what Triad is?
Triad is a consortium of seniors, senior providers, and law enforcement. And with law enforcement also includes fire and safety. So those three work together for the education and safety, maintaining safety of seniors, those 65 and over. And anybody, now that they have been consolidated with the Illinois Department on Aging, anybody less than 65 and disabled.
And there are 26 individuals around the table at the meeting. And then 2 days later, on the 9th, I attended the Triad picnic at the VFW. There were 156 seniors at the picnic. And it was a great day. They played bingo. And I have to digress. Jenny introduced both myself and Nate, we both met. And this young lady comes running up to me. Are you the Eddie Bedford that taught school? I said, yes, I am. She says, you taught my boys.
Oh.
And it was a nice little reunion for a couple minutes, and she gave me the biggest lovable hug. It was a wonderful meeting there, and it was neat. It was neat. And then Nate and I, yesterday, attended a presentation on transportation at Monarch Landing. Jenny did a wonderful 40-minute presentation on the different transportation mechanism and pieces for the seniors. And there were 56 people who sat in on that presentation yesterday afternoon. And a couple reminders, or one reminder. Friday, June 23rd is the meet and greet at Olson and Streck, their backyard, starting at 4 o'clock. I believe you have flyers that were in your mailboxes outlining this.
4:30.
4:30, yeah.
4:30 to 8.
And I would encourage you all to go. I have a small problem that I'm trying to convince a lovely person that I've been married to for 44 years to attend, but it's our anniversary. So I told her, I said, look, this is great. We can go eat on somebody else. And starting tomorrow, we have 9 service contract organizations that have already been approved by the previous board. Tomorrow, I'm going to execute the first one. And we're going to execute them going forward for the next week and a half. And my goal is actually, in order to execute them, they have to come here and sign off. So I get to know who they are, I can see my face. And then within the next month, my monthly report will say that I have visited all 9 facilities and have toured each of the facilities. That ends my report. I'm sorry it took so long. Assessor.
Thank you, Supervisor Bedford. We continue to progress for the 2017 assessment year with the ultimate projection of turning our assessment valuations for 2017 over sometime probably in August. So we're in the process of, from what we do in our office is we're putting all the new construction on, new permitting, and then revaluing and looking at the over 34,000 parcels that we contain. Recently in the news, you've seen some highlights with the Cook County assessment jurisdictions that have just recently been there, and they're talking about their fairness and accuracy and disparity between certain areas and not. I'd like to let you know that here in Naperville Township, we're recognized as the #1 jurisdiction for accuracy within the state of Illinois. So we are the 3rd largest commercial jurisdiction in the state of Illinois, Chicago, York Township, and then Naperville. And we house over 34,000 parcels and $12 billion in valuation. We do that with a staff of only 7 employees. That's because you have a working assessor that's full-time in the office also, is not just he's actually doing valuation, so I do valuation myself. So I pride that we have a great staff that does a spectacular job, and that's a really big benefit to the equity of our taxpayers and the residents here. So one area doesn't see a lower valuation, but a fair and accurate valuation, and we're able to do that through advances in technology. So we're progressing to another year, and our numbers have even gotten better this year than they have in the past, which is really hard to do at the level that we're at. So very proud of that. Another thing that I'll give you an update on is building maintenance here at this particular point that I oversee. You've noticed the new parking lot and some of the Riverwalk improvements that have gone on outside of the building. The parking lot is owned by the city of Naperville, and we have a permanent lease on it as long as we're here at this location. So the improvements were provided by the city and paid for by the city. We oversee the maintenance of it, making sure that it's taken care of properly. Riverwalk will take over now. The Park District will take over maintenance of the whole Riverwalk portion of it. The plannings, everything in accordance with that. Our lower level now will be maintained, which wasn't maintained prior. It was done by our highway district. Would come out and do some maintenance over the years on those. The Riverwalk's going to take full care of that. The Dick Tracy statue is back in place. It's a little higher than it was before. The water shouldn't see, we shouldn't see him maybe get up to his toes, maybe, but that's he won't be up to his armpits anymore in water. So So that's neat. That's one of the most photographed, it is the most photographed piece on the Riverwalk, so it's nice to have it here in the township in there. And we have a lot of visitors that come and gives great exposure. And I think we can capitalize on that even more. The building now is 20 years old. It was put in commission in 1997. I can track that by the, my oldest son is now turning 20 in July here, so I kind of follow it from that standpoint. There has been much deferred maintenance that have gone on in the building, so we're looking and getting quotes now that construction is done around it wouldn't have been prudent to do some construction and maintenance at that particular time. But now we're looking at the exterior, wood exterior of both the front and back, and looking at repair and repainting and potentially some stone estimates to match the surrounding Water Street development now. We'll see those come back in there. We've also out for additional signage on the parking lot as we have reduced the number of parking spots that we have available. Both Eddie and myself have a large senior contingency that comes in from an exemption standpoint in certain periods of times from my office, and then on a regular basis to Supervisor Bedford's office. So we're limited there. We want to make sure that the township parking lot during business hours is utilized for township only. We've got some additional signage that is pretty easily read and understandable. So we're looking forward to that. The building again is open to the public. I invite everybody to come up and see, and I think I've talked with all the trustees now, to come up and maybe we'll schedule a group time to see what my office does, introduce to the staff, and that'll give you some ideas of what we're actually doing. So when you do get to certain points in the process, you'll understand. So I'm excited to it's a good start. We've had a good partnership not only with Supervisor Bedford but Nate and the whole crew too. So it's been a very good transition here. So I thank you for that. So and that's all I got.
Any questions? Town Clerk, Nate.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Couple of things my office is working on right now. The first of which is we have an ordinance that weed or grass that are a nuisance can't be over 8 inches in length. So we've had residents report multiple properties that are in compliance. So right now I've been doing a lot of weed whacking, so going to the properties and trying to get them to comply with the amount of days that we give them to take care of it themselves. If they do not, the township will go out and take care of that property, and then a lien can be placed to collect the funds back. So far I've had a pretty good success rate in getting the property owners, both corporate and residentials, to take care of it. So I'm hoping to continue that trend. And then another thing my office is working on that I've talked with Warren about is moving more towards electronic storage and documentation. It was very successful in his office, so I'm getting some quotes on how much a scanner would cost and things like that to try to bring that model to our office. Not only is it easier for document retention and things like that, but it's easier to reference a document if there's a FOIA or things like that. It's just generally easier to find. And we're also working on scheduling a date with the state of Illinois. They have document retention people that will come out and speak with anyone in the building that stores documents about the time they need to be kept and things like that. So those are the two major things my office is working on right now. Other than that, I'll echo what Warren said, that the transition's gone very well. And I think we're functioning very smoothly. So that's all I have for right now.
Nate told me yesterday that he's 5 out of 6 on getting in compliance. That's a good track record.
That's out for the weeds.
Only have one right now.
Right. Just a quick question on that. You said that if the township has to go out and do it, we put a lien on their property.
Right.
Can we bill them first for township hours?
Yeah,
or does it
we
have to-
absolutely, we try to collect.
Okay.
That's our other option if they're
Right.
not compliant. So that's more of situations I anticipate. I haven't had to do this yet. If they're just completely non-responsive. So if the owner's not at the house, I can't get a response from anywhere.
Right.
So I imagine that'll probably be the situation with those properties.
Richard is not present, Highway Commissioner. Trustees, Trustee Loretta Burke.
I just would like to say it's been a smooth transition, I believe, and it's starting off with our first meeting tonight, so I'm looking forward to many productive and smooth transitional meetings going forward.
Sally, it's my daughter. Julie?
It's also, as Loretta said, been a smooth transition, and I'm glad I remembered to mute my phone about 5 minutes ago. All is well.
Trustee Paul? Santucci?
I would just reiterate the same, that I think it's been a smooth transition. I look forward to working with everyone. Welcome to the township. And I think we can have a very productive 4 years from what I've gotten to know of you as a supervisor and clerk in the board. So, welcome.
So, Trustee John Waller?
Just reporting and echoing most of the other sentiments around the table here. Seems like things are off to a good start. I'm excited to be part of it.
I will echo that with everyone. Thank you. Thank you. We have no old business? Do we, Nate?
No.
Okay. The new business. First order of new business, let me put my glasses on. We have to approve the resolution to establish 7 o'clock regular board meeting times for the fiscal year 2017, 2018, beginning July, the July meeting. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion?
thank you.
I thought it was Richard that asked to have it moved.
I voted against it when they moved it to 6.
He said 4:30, you know?
Call for a vote?
Roll call vote, Trustee Waller,
Aye.
Trustee Trustee Federico,
Aye.
Supervisor Bedford,
Aye.
Trustee Santucci,
Yes.
Trustee Burke,
Aye.
passes.
Item 8.2, approve the ordinance to comply with prevailing wage act for township laborers. Nate, if you want to speak to that.
That's item 8.2 in your packet. We're required every year to make sure that we pass an ordinance saying that we intend to comply with the Illinois Board of Labor's laws requiring what the going wages are for how we pay laborers in the township. So this is just confirming that we are going to comply with that statute.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Trustee Waller,
Approved.
Trustee Federico,
Approve.
Supervisor Bedford,
Approved.
Trustee Santucci,
Yes.
Trustee Burke,
Approve.
passes.
Great. Item 8.3, approval of ordinance to comply with the prevailing wage act for the road district laborers. Nate?
So that would be for the road district, and that's the amended resolution before you that we changed some of the language on it that we talked about before.
So does this come up every year? It's an annual thing to read?
It's going to be June
adopt?
every year by statute.
Okay.
Maybe it's an ordinance, right? Not a resolution.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's an ordinance.
8.4, approve the resolution to adopt.
Point of order.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The vote.
Yeah.
Vote, I'm sorry.
8.3.
Yes.
Call for vote.
Trustee Waller,
Yes.
Trustee Federico,
Approved.
Supervisor Bedford,
Yes.
Trustee Santucci,
Yes.
Trustee Burke,
Approve.
passes.
Item 8.4, to approve resolutions to adopt a transfer of appropriations in the road district from line item Lyle IGA to the Roads and Bridges Foundation, or fund. I cannot speak much to this because Richard was supposed to give us the complete discussion on how this was going to happen. At this point, all I can say is, any discussion?
If Richard's not here, is this something we can
That would be my only question. Is we
table?
table it
Right,
until
can
he
we table it
has-
to the next meeting, or what is our?
I believe that you can vote on it, it's ultimately the vote. This, as it appears to me and has been described, is that this is money because the Lyle Township Road District IGA with Naperville Township Road District has been terminated. There was a line item appropriation for X amount of money for the entire year, and now that there's 6 months left over, this should be within the same fund, and it's a line item changeover not to exceed 10%. And so I believe that that's what this is, and trying to shift over some of that leftover money to really, I think, was described as to pay for the people who are now on Naperville Township Road District's payroll instead of on Lyle Township.
That's my understanding too.
That's kind of how I read it.
But I think you have authority to vote on this, even though the highway commissioner himself is not present.
A point of discussion, if I may. One point Ross made was that that for a new board to understand too is that the maximum transfer is 10% of the fund that can be made. So you want to always be concerned with the ability after the budget is set. The ability to transfer from one fund to another by statute is only 10% of the total of that fund. So which is well under, the transfer is well under that amount.
Okay. And I do think that it may put a burden on Commissioner Noviger if we don't approve it tonight, because if he has to make payroll, that's something he needs to have available pretty much immediately. So I would say that we go ahead and vote for it.
Okay, call for a vote.
Roll call vote, trustee Waller,
Approved?
trustee Federico,
Approve.
supervisor Bedford,
Approved.
trustee Santucci,
Yes.
trustee Burke,
Approve.
passes.
8.5 is approval of the resolutions to adopt a transfer of appropriations in the road districts from line item for tax objections to the permanent road fund. And again, with Commissioner Naviger not here, I think this is kind of one of the same situations that of the previous item. So is there any discussions?
Can you explain it?
This one I haven't been fully, Richard has not discussed this one in full with me yet. I assume that it was, unless Nate, you know exactly, as Richard told you about this one. I knew the Lyle IGA one because I had
Right.
discussed that pretty extensively and making sure that we could terminate and still have the budget to cover some of those necessary services. But this one, I'm actually not. Richard has never, I don't know.
Yes.
Both transfers are to the permanent road fund, being transferred from two separate funds into one of the same fund. So the underlying assumption of the last one could
Would assume-
potentially be made.
Yeah.
My two questions would be, are we still within that 10% boundary?
You have about a $2 million, so you're about a
Okay, so we're still
$200,000 transfer limit. And then your question would be is that substantial for operational use to the road commissioner, that the transfer provides the ability to provide the services needed, I guess, you know?
No,
That we
my
can't
question would have been
answer.
why we had that much money in there for tax objections, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, no, the way I see it, we're moving from one budget line item, moving into a separate.
That's a good question
budget
too.
line.
That would be definitely a discussion I would bring up in a budget discussion.
Yeah.
I would assume that this all does go to the same, trying to cover those costs that were part of the Lyle IGA and were budgeted
Correct.
for that, and now making sure they're on the proper line item for other purposes.
We'll call for a vote.
Trustee Waller,
Approve?
trustee Federico,
Approve.
supervisor Bedford,
Yes.
trustee Santucci,
Yes.
trustee Burke,
Approve.
passes.
Water and bills claims. You have all seen the bills,
Yes.
and we have all signed them.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for your right and left hand. Now, do we have to have a vote on that? For the discussion?
Not on the audit,
Good.
but on the approval.
Okay, so now on item 10, approval of the bills and claims. 10-1, town bills, town fund bills and claims 5/1 through 5/31 in the amount of $164,223.40.
I move that we approve the town fund bills and claims in the amount of $164,223.40.
Second.
Discussion. I went through those and I met with Francie. She's unbelievably, how to say it? She knows where the pennies are. And this is all correct. It's all correct. Discussion? Call for a vote?
Trustee Waller,
Yes.
trustee Federico,
Yes.
supervisor Bedford,
Yes.
trustee Santucci,
Yes.
trustee Burke,
Yes.
passes.
Item 10.2, the road fund bills and claims from 5/1/2017 to 5/31/2017 in the amount of $465,759.13. Discussion?
I move that we approve
I'm sorry.
the road fund bills and claims in the amount of $465,759.13.
Discussion.
Second.
Now discussion.
Now discussion.
Hearing none, then let's call for the vote.
Trustee Waller,
Yes.
trustee Federico,
Yes.
supervisor Bedford,
Yes.
trustee Santucci,
Yes.
trustee Burke,
Yes.
passes.
Item 11, we need to go into closed session for employees' discussions and a possible litigation. And I would like to call for the vote to go into closed session. It has to be a roll call vote.
Trustee Waller,
Yes.
trustee Federico,
Yes.
supervisor Bedford,
Yes.
trustee Santucci,
Yes.
trustee Burke,
Yes.
There should be a motion.
motion and a second, right?
before you-
Okay.
Sorry.
Call for a
So
motion.
moved.
Okay,
Second.
Do we need to vote again?
Yeah.
Okay.
call for a vote.
trustee Waller,
Still yes.
trustee Santucci, I'm sorry, trustee Federico,
Still yes.
supervisor Bedford,
Yes.
trustee Santucci,
Yes.
trustee Burke,
Yes.
Okay, so I have a motion to, it's a motion, correct?
Yeah.
That we're gonna return to open session. Discussion. Motion,
Yeah,
motion.
motion. So moved. I move that we return to open session.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
trustee Waller,
Yes.
trustee Federico,
Yes.
supervisor Bedford,
Yes.
trustee Santucci,
Yes.
trustee Burke,
Yes.
passes.
We have to establish a quorum for the regular meeting, correct, again?
Well, that's what we just
We
did.
just did.
We just,
Yeah.
okay. Basically, we have returned to the open session, and the topics that were discussed in the closed session were, one, the lawsuit, the pending lawsuit. Secondly, the
We just did like the general
general,
exception, basically the type of things that you discussed
we
when going into closed session. You know, like,
we discussed employees, benefits,
a lot of,
and we also, let me get down to this.
Comes back right here.
A closed session in Naperville Township Board considered employment compensations from the road district. We discussed the legal ramifications of the lawsuit, depending on the ongoing lawsuit, and good.
Yep. Yep.
Now do we have to have a motion to approve that?
No.
No.
Okay, we're done. We're back into the regular session.
Next agenda item.
Back to the agenda, and the last thing on the agenda was adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
We can just do,
You can do a voice vote.
Voice vote?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
All right.